Hey, I'm Todd Carswell, Solutions Engineer at Zoom. Are you a Microsoft Teams shop trying to understand how you might deploy Zoom Phone? If yes, this session covers 3 options available to you. Let's start with a graphic to set the table. Here are your 3 options. Number 1, Zoom Phone Native. 2 is Zoom for Microsoft Embedded. And 3 is Zoom Phone for Microsoft Teams. We call it Direct Routing option. So the first is the Zoom Phone Native, shown on the left side of this graphic. Zoom Phone Native is actually not integrated with Microsoft Teams, so you have access to all Zoom features for things like calling, voicemail, SMS, AI, and analytics. Users also have client options for desktop, mobile, and web, and a large number of desk phone options available to you. The second option in the middle of the graphic here is Zoom Teams, or we call it the embedded option. This solution embeds a Zoom application inside of Teams, giving you access to Zoom meetings, chat, and phone features from within the client. It requires the Zoom desktop app to be installed and open alongside Teams. We call that cross-launch. We also recommend the use of the Zoom Assistant as a productivity enabler. So an advantage of this option is customers don't have to purchase Microsoft Teams phone licenses to have phone capabilities in Teams. You get Zoom Phone capabilities inside the client with just a standard Zoom Phone license. The third option is Zoom Phone for Microsoft Teams Direct Routing. This allows users to send and receive calls with the Teams native dialer. It doesn't support SMS, and customers are actually required to purchase both Microsoft Teams phone licenses along with a Zoom Phone license. So let's look into a demonstration of each of the 3 options now. The Zoom Phone native option is just simply the standalone product delivered from the Zoom client itself. After logging into the Zoom client, you navigate to the phone section. Looking at the left side of the client here, users have access to call history, voicemail, lines, and SMS. In the call history section, you simply hover over a caller and you can click the call back button to dial them. If the caller is not in your contacts, a user can right-click on it and add them to Outlook or Google. If you're dealing with a spam caller, there are also options to block callers. Looking at this call from Dan Hall, you'll notice it was summarized with Zoom AI Companion, and there's access to edit the summary, share it with others, or just simply delete it if you don't want it anymore. Navigating over to the voicemail tab, I select this voicemail from Dan Hall, and you can see standard options here for playing back the message or calling the user back. Also built into the voicemail are AI features for analyzing the voice message and pulling out specific tasks. In this case, Dan's asking if we can meet with Jen to discuss the project plan. Over in the line section, you see options for shared line groups and other capabilities like monitoring, and these have been configured for this specific user. Moving to the SMS tab, you have here Zoom Phone with full featured capabilities for SMS. And this is applicable for every Zoom Phone number. We don't charge extra for sending text messages either. That's included with your Zoom Phone license. So navigating back to the dial pad, you have access here to select your caller ID by just simply hitting the pull down menu. So this is important if you don't want external parties to have access to your direct number, or if you simply want callers to be routed to one of your call queues, for instance, instead of dialing you back directly. To place a call, you simply type a phone number or name in the keypad. When you start typing, the client searches Zoom Phone users and all your contacts. It makes it easy to simply click on a name and place a phone call. I placed a call to Dan Hall here. While in the call, users have access to add other parties to a conference. You can put them on hold. You can transfer the call. I can click the record button to record it. And I can even summarize the call using Zoom AI Companion. If necessary, calls can be escalated up to a Zoom meeting. Next, we have Zoom for Microsoft Embedded inside the Teams client. I'm logged into Teams and the Zoom client at the same time. On the left of the Teams window, the Zoom app is embedded alongside the standard Teams features here. When I click on the Zoom app itself, across the top, I'm presented with options for Zoom chat, meetings, and phone. Clicking on the phone tab, I can see call history, voicemail, and SMS laid out just like the standalone Zoom client. I've got the ability now to hover over a call and dial the user back, just like the Zoom client. You'll note that I'm missing the advanced AI features built into the Zoom standalone client, so just pointing that out. Navigating over to voicemail, I've got the ability to read a transcript of the message or listen to it. Just like the Zoom standalone client, this embedded application inside Teams has SMS capabilities. Looking at the dial pad in the center, I've got the same ability to type a name or a number into the keypad, and I can also select my caller ID. For the Zoom app embedded in Teams, we actually recommend the use of Zoom Assistant because it gives you the most expedient means of fielding calls and quickly getting back to your work. I've got the Assistant anchored on the left side of my screen here. When I hover over it, the Assistant pops out and gives me quick access to the dial pad, call history, and voicemail. I've also added Lance Barrios as a speed dial, and I can see call queues or users I'm monitoring here. So to demonstrate the productivity gains I mentioned earlier with the Assistant, I'm going to bring up a document I'm working on and place a call inbound to this user. When the call comes in, Zoom Assistant pops up, and I just simply click the button to accept the call. With the call active now, looking across the top of the pane, I've got options for recording, call park, transfer, hold, and even ending the call. Across the bottom, I can click the keypad and add another party to create a conference. And as I'm in the call, I can go back to my work if I need to reference something while I'm talking or whatnot. So when the call ends, the Assistant widget, it just parks itself and I go back to work. The final option I'll demonstrate is Zoom Phone for Teams direct routing. So this integration uses the Teams native dialer with Zoom phone numbers. At this point, I'm logged into the Teams with a user that is integrated with Zoom using that Microsoft direct routing feature. I don't have to be logged into both the Teams and the Zoom client at the same time. I've got a Teams account with Zoom phone numbers. I click on the calls button to access the dialer, and I can see call history in the middle. From call history, I can quickly return a call with one click. If I right-click on a caller, I have options to call them back. I can create a speed dial or even create a new contact. And I also have options here to block the caller. I'm placing an inbound call to this user, and I click the button to accept. In-call options include things like keypad, hold, and transfer, and I've also got access to mute myself. With this integration, I don't have access to things like SMS or those AI capabilities I've shown earlier. And I'm also required to have, just a reminder, I have to have both a Teams phone license along with my Zoom phone license. So that's something to consider. So this has been a quick rundown of the options available for deploying Zoom Phone for organizations that also use Microsoft Teams. I hope you found this beneficial, and I hope you have a great day.